What's up, YouTube? That retired dude here again. Let's talk about service after the sale. This is going to be a slightly venting video. If you're a watcher of my channel, or if you're just new here and just passing through, you'll know that recently I just purchased a Porsche 911 991.1 model. I'm very happy with the purchase, not happy with the service after the sale. And I want to talk about it. So let's discuss service after a sale. So as you can see by those two pictures, it's a very, to me anyway, it's a very good looking car. It took me a while to find it. I wasn't really looking too hard for one. I'm going to cover all that in the video once I get the car and do a review on it. And I'll go over prices and what I paid for it and whatever else. But it took me a while to find the car. It wasn't my first choice of a car initially. I was looking for an S63 AMG sedan. Ended up with a 911. So I live in Louisiana. The Porsche was in Dallas suburb of Louisville, as a matter of fact. Of course, there's always that issue of buying a car out of state and getting it back home. I have family who live in 40 minutes away from that dealership. It was close to Thanksgiving. I was going there anyway for Thanksgiving, so it was easy to pop by there and see the car. I was already working on another Porsche before I bought this one, and it sold like literally while I was on the phone talking to the salesman at the dealership in Houston, Texas. The car sold while I was on the phone talking to the salesman about making arrangements to go down to Houston to see the car. The car that I ultimately bought, I'd seen that car already. I went there first because I was already in the Dallas area, and the other car was in Houston. So I'd already seen it. I knew I liked it anyway, but the car in Houston was a lower price and it had slightly lower miles. So it was worth a look, but it sold. So I came back to the one in Dallas. Shipping was one of the issues. When I bought the car, or as I was preparing to buy the car, one of the questions I had was, how am I going to arrange shipping? Because I had a previous experience a few decades ago where I bought a car in Ohio. I literally drove to Ohio to see this car. I'm from Louisiana. I drove to Ohio, saw the car. It was a Pro Street Dodge Dart. It was crazy. I drove to Ohio, saw the car, hired a company to bring it back. They took my money and never picked up the car and never heard from them again. So it was a bad experience. I ultimately did find a company who picked it up, brought it, and I got the car. That was decades ago when I was into my Pro Street thing, which I still am. I just don't own one anymore. So I'm talking to the dealership here at the Porsche about getting the car back to Louisiana from Texas. I didn't want to try to arrange my own shipping because, there's sometimes these things you hear on the internet or on YouTube or on the news about companies that are picking up cars and they're not legit and they're selling the cars right off the back of the trailers or whatever they're doing. And the people, the dealership is giving the car to the shipper. The shipper may or may not be legit. The car's gone. Now you're out your car and whatever. But the guy told me, he says, listen, we have companies that we deal with. They are reputable companies, and we make sure that your car is not going to be shipped by somebody who's going to abuse it or whatever, not see your car again. Fine. I drive up there, I do the deal, I pay the shipping, it was a $500 shipping fee from their dealership to my front door, which is what I'm still waiting. I still don't have the car right now. It's supposed to be here tomorrow. Today is Thursday. The car is supposed to be picked up today, and I'm supposed to get the car tomorrow. Let's see if that happens. That's why I'm making the video. So I went up there, signed the paperwork for the car the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, bought it, paid for it, at least, paid my giant down payment. The bank financed the rest of it. And I asked him, how long does it take for the car to get here? And he told me that 3 days is max. Usually within 48 hours. We're talking 300 miles from Texas, where it was in Texas, where it is in Texas, to my house in Louisiana. 300 miles. He says 48 hours, 3 days max before you get your car. Well, since I was up there before Thanksgiving paying for the car, I told him I don't want the car shipped immediately because I'm not going to be home for a couple of days after Thanksgiving. No problem. We'll hold back on the shipping, which they don't actually ship themselves. He said we post it on a site, on some kind of a link, and then shippers can see it and say, hey, I'm headed that way. I'll come pick that up. So he said we'll hold off on putting it on that site until closer to the time that you're going to be home. In the meantime, I test drove the car, liked the car, but it did have one issue. It had two issues, actually. One issue was that the hood struts weren't holding the hood up all the way. And they said, we'll take care of that. Those things are cheap. They're $15, no problem. $15 a piece, we'll take care of that for you. And the headlight leveler, because the car is lowered pretty well, and it's I think it's below the level of where the automatic headlight leveler will adapt, and it says headlight leveler thing is defective or whatever. We'll take care of that too. Everybody shakes hands, sign paperwork, gone. Literally, now before all this, I'm trying to buy the car. I'm calling, I'm getting a response. I'm texting, I'm getting a response. I'm emailing, I'm getting a response. No problem. I altered the paperwork on the contract multiple times to fit me. They put stuff in it that I didn't ask for, like gap insurance that I didn't need. Just in case, no, take it out. Other stuff, warranty that I didn't need. I self-warrant my vehicles because I don't trust warranty companies. Take it out. Don't want it. So I altered the contract several times. But the point was, every time I altered the contract and I said, hey, change this, send me a new purchase order. It happened. Change this, send me a new one. Done. I'm going to put more down payment than the bank wanted, so change it to this because I want to finance only this much money. Done. All that was done. I'm gone. They got to fix the hood struts or the front struts and the headlight leveler adjustment, the automatic leveler adjustment. From that point forward, when I walked out of that dealership, it was like the deal was done. We got our money. We have other customers, and I couldn't get a freaking answer to a phone call, a text message, an email right away. So I called a couple of days later to find out, hey, are the hood struts fixed? I email, I text, I call, no response. I do it again a couple of days later. I get a response. We're waiting for the part to come in. Of course, this whole deal was like, hey, we'll let you know what's going on. Didn't happen. I found out 2 days after I left there that they were still waiting on the part for the hood struts, the front hood struts, the front trunk. When the part comes in, we'll get right on it and we'll get it fixed for you and we'll get it shipped out. But in the meantime, I was told that the automatic headlight leveler deal was fixed. So this was like coming up on Friday or Saturday of last week. So the next week comes, which is the beginning of this week. I call again. What's the update on the car? When am I getting my car? It was supposed to be here this past Tuesday. When am I getting my car? And I get no response again. I text, I call, I email. I text again, call, email. Finally, I get a call back. I get a text back. And the guy says, oh, so sorry, we've been so busy, we've been whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then he says, the struts are on. Yeah, we fixed it already. Nobody told me that. The shipper's going to come here today, the day he told me this. He's going to pick your car up by close of business. I think this was Monday or Tuesday, close of business, and you'll have your car Wednesday, which was yesterday. Now, in the meantime, let me back up a little bit. I already had an appointment with the Porsche dealer here to service the car. I mean, to do after purchase, make this car new to me service. I'm paying a bunch of money to them to go through this car and change everything that needs to be changed and pull that bumper off and air filters and spark plugs just so it's new to me. I've had to change that appointment 3 times. The guy says the shipper's going to pick the car up before close of business today. You'll have your car by Wednesday. We'll call you and let you know when the car is on the truck. So they close at 6 o'clock. No call, no text, no email. The truck, so I ended up calling back. I texted like 8 o'clock at night because they closed at 6. I wanted to make sure that I gave them time. I text back to the guy I was dealing with. He messages me back and says, "Oh, I'm so sorry. The truck didn't show up. The driver didn't show up." Okay. Well, no one called me and told me that. So I wait till the next day, which was yesterday. They open at 10 o'clock. I'm trying to be a fair guy. I'm trying to maintain my composure. And while I'm feeling like, well, shoot, is this car dealership legitimate? Even though I was there and I saw all the cars they have, where is my car? So I wait till yesterday. They open at 10. I wait till 12 o'clock to give them time to get in there, do work, do whatever they're going to do to start their day and get me a freaking truck. So I called the dealership. Voicemail. I call the salesman. Voicemail. I got really frustrated by that point, and I just started sending out emails. I emailed some contact us number, and I was pretty wordy in there about why I was sending this email, why I'm not happy, where is my car that I paid for. I'm not getting satisfactory responses. I'm not being contacted. Every time I get a response back, it's because I'm calling, I'm texting, I'm emailing. No one is calling, texting, or emailing me as the customer saying, "We know you want your car. This is the update." If I'm not calling, texting, or emailing, I'm getting nothing. And I told them in the email, I'm upset. I need somebody to talk to me. I then turned around and called the bank that financed the car, and I left them a message because the lady was not there. I left her a message and said, "You guys financed the car for me, and I don't know where it is. I haven't seen it. If you haven't paid or if you've paid them already, can you pull your money back until we figure out where this car is? Because it should have been here 8 days ago." Literally 10 minutes later, my phone starts ringing, and I see a name on the phone I don't recognize. And I usually don't answer phone calls that I don't recognize, but the area code told me to answer. So I answered the phone, and it was some person who I had never spoken to before in this deal, who was some person up here in car dealership lane. And he said, "I just was made aware of your email. I'm on top of this. Sometimes we have problems with the shippers. We're so sorry. There was a shipper supposed to come pick your car up yesterday. He didn't show up." And I interrupted him and I says, "Listen, I know those things happen. It's a human thing. I got it. I don't care about that. Theoretically, I don't care if the car takes a year to get here. What I care about is I'm the customer. I paid the money before I bought the car. Every call I made was answered. Every text message I texted was answered. Every email I emailed was answered. Once I did the paperwork and left, I'm doing all the calling, texting, and emailing. No one's contacting me. Why am I, as the customer, having to constantly call to find out what's the update on my car? Are my hood struts fixed? Are my headlight levers fixed? When is it being shipped? Why are you guys not calling me to tell me what the update is so I'm not worried about my car? That's my issue. If it takes the thing 2 months to get here, but you have a valid reason for that to be the case, then I'm cool with that because their website says we ship nationwide. But yet I'm struggling to get a car 300 miles down the road. He apologized, and he said, we should have done a better job at that. I apologize. He said, we had a shipper contact us today who said he can pick, this was yesterday, had a shipper contact us today who said he can have your car within 3 days. And he said, we told him, nope, that's not acceptable. We need this car picked up immediately. He found another shipper. And then he said, you're going to get an email with that shipper's information. He said he will pick that car up this afternoon. This was yesterday. So this afternoon is today, which is Thursday. And he said, you will have your car by Friday evening. Then he said, I understand that you told the salesman that you had appointments that you had to adjust or change. And I says, yep, now I got to change it again because I changed it to Friday because you guys said the car would be here Thursday. So I'm going to have to change the appointment again for the third time. But he said, you will have your car by Friday. So I got another email minutes later from some other person I'd never spoken to before. And it had a shipper's name in it with a phone number. We're so sorry this happened to you, and the usual things. And you'll have your car by Friday evening, which is tomorrow. At this point, all I can say is, okay, thank you for the call, but I still express my upsetness. It takes a little bit to get me that way. My daughter was telling me, you need to call them and tell them what you feel and tell them what you could. I've been policing for years, and I try to remain calm because once I get uncalm, I kind of have a hard time pulling that back sometimes. But I remain calm and patient. But my point was, again, that when I was up there buying the car, walking around through their dealership, my son-in-law and I were looking at G-Wagons because they had some very nice G-Wagons up there. And my daughter and son-in-law wanted a G-Wagon. And I told the guy, we're going to come back up here and we're going to get one of your G-Wagons. But I'm like, good grief. To me, service after a sale is as important as service before the sale. Especially if I buy something from, I don't care what it is I'm buying. If I like where I'm buying something from, I'm likely to come back there again. Especially in cars, And if I'm coming back to buy a G-Wagon from you, why am I going through this? So I said all that venting. I told my other daughter I might make this video, and she said, you should make it. So that's why I'm making it. YouTube people, always be creating. ABC, always be creating. Or always be creating content, ABCC. So that's why I made the video, so I can vent. If you're, and this, I'll probably buy one of their G-Wagons, probably. My issue was getting the car shipped. If I didn't have this issue and I had a driver, because I drove my Range Rover up there, and I just couldn't drive two vehicles back. So if I was buying locally, like when I traded my SVR, when I traded my other Range Rover to get the SVR, I drove to Wichita, Kansas from here. I drove my Range Rover up there, traded it for the SVR, and I drove the SVR back. No problem, no shipping involved. I wasn't trading in this case here because I'm still keeping my Range Rover. I'm still keeping my S550, and I'm just adding the Porsche to the fleet. So if I wasn't, if I was just driving, I could have just bought the car, switched, traded, whatever, and drove it home. I won't do this again. No more shipping. The next time I buy a car like this, I'm going to take a driver if I'm not trading, and I'm not doing any more shipping. It's too much aggravation. It's too stressful for me. I swear at one point I thought the deal wasn't real and they took the money and shut the dealership down and ran off with all the cars. That's where my mind was going. So if you're in sales, service after the sale is important. If you're thinking about going into sales, I don't care what you're selling, service after the sale is important. If you're into just getting the money and then moving on to the next customer, but the customer who just paid you money is now, bye, you're gone, you're probably in the wrong business. I don't know. Or you need to adjust or alter your business. So that's my rant and my vent on this situation because I needed to get it out. I'm looking forward to doing the video tomorrow on the vehicle, showing up with my Porsche in front of my house. I plan to do a whole video on that. Then I got to get it down to the dealership next week, get it serviced, and then do a review video. So be looking forward to that if you watch my channel. I'm looking forward to doing it either way because ABC. And be good to each other. Be kind to each other. Please like, share, and subscribe. Comment also if you feel the need to. And the retired dude will see you the next time I'm doing some retired people stuff. Have a nice day.